200 crystal glasses sit cold and empty under the Seattle rain at 8:43 p.m. Not a single guest is inside the Sky Garden ballroom, and the silence is scary. Kendra Harrison, a paralyzed CEO, faces a cruel plan by Charles to force her out of Aura Clean Energy. She wants respect and honor more than money. As darkness falls, Liam, a single dad and technician, walks in with his son, carrying a handmade wooden boat. A warm fire lights up, ready to destroy the villain's cruel plan. How will this life and death fight for the energy company in tomorrow morning? But 3 hours before that rain hit the glass roof, Kendra's day started like any other. It started small. It started quiet. And nobody in that building knew how loud it would get by morning. At 5:13 a.m., an alarm buzzes softly in a penthouse above downtown Seattle. Kendra Harrison opens her eyes first, before the alarm even finishes its second beep. Her body always wakes up slower than her mind does. She looks over at the wheelchair sitting beside her bed. It waits for her every single morning, silent and patient. She used to run 3 miles before sunrise, back before the accident changed everything. The trip from her bed to that chair takes 14 long minutes. Her arms shake by the 9th minute, even though she trains them daily. Sweat forms on her forehead, even though the room feels cold. Her fingers finally grip the wheels and push toward her home office. A laptop already glows on the desk, waiting like an old friend. 61 unread emails sit in her inbox from the night before. She reads every single one before her coffee is even ready. That is simply who she is. She never lets the world get ahead of her, not even for one quiet hour. The smell of dark, bitter espresso mixes with the machine oil from her wheelchair. It is a strange smell, sharp and heavy at the same time. It smells like strength and struggle mixed into one small room. Kendra was the founder of Aura Clean Energy, built from nothing but her own 2 hands. She designed her first solar panel prototype in a rented garage at age 24. By age 31, her company powered homes across 3 entire states. A car crash on a rainy highway changed everything last October. Her driver lost control on wet pavement near a curve outside Tacoma. Now her legs do not move, though her mind still runs faster than anyone she knows. She fixes her collar with stiff, careful fingers in front of the mirror. The shirt is a little worn at the edge, soft from years of washing. She does not care about fancy clothes or expensive labels. She cares about being taken seriously in every single room she enters. That has always mattered more to her than looking rich. Money was never the goal. Respect always was. I may have lost my legs, she whispers to her own reflection in the mirror. But my mind has never once stopped running. She says this every single morning. It is not for anyone else. It is only for her. Outside her window, the city of Seattle slowly wakes up under gray clouds. Ferries cross the gray water toward islands she used to visit often. She misses walking along those docks more than she admits out loud. Her mother raised her alone in a small apartment near the docks. She worked double shifts at a fish cannery for 11 straight years. Kendra used to do her homework under a single flickering lamp. She remembers her mother's rough, tired hands folding laundry late at night. "Nobody hands you anything in this life," her mother used to say. "You build it, piece by piece, with your own 2 hands." Kendra took those words and built an entire company from them. She studied engineering on scholarships, working nights to pay her own rent. She never forgot what it felt like to be counted out early. Now she sits in a penthouse she built herself, brick by brick. But some mornings, the loneliness of it all still catches her off guard. Success, it turns out, does not always fill an empty room. At 10:23 a.m., her phone buzzes hard against the glass desk. An email comes in from her assistant, marked urgent in bold red letters. Charles Atherton has called an emergency board meeting for tomorrow morning. The subject line alone makes her stomach drop like a stone. She opens the email slowly, almost afraid of what waits inside. A 14-page document sits attached, written in cold legal language. It claims Kendra is not fit to lead a billion-dollar company anymore. It says her body cannot represent Aura in front of major investors. The words feel like a slap across her face, sharp and sudden. Charles Atherton is a 3rd-generation Seattle businessman, with old family money behind him. His grandfather built ships. His father built banks. Charles builds nothing, but he controls plenty. He joined Aura's board 4 years ago, buying a large stake with inherited money. He never liked reporting to a founder younger than his own children. Every board meeting, since has felt, to him, like a small personal insult. He tells his golf partners privately that Kendra only got this far through charity votes. He believes, somewhere deep down, that her success embarrasses men like him. That belief has quietly guided every move he has made against her this year. He used his old money connections to scare off her allies this week. 3 major partners canceled meetings with her in just 2 days. He built quiet walls around her, without saying one single public word. Then her phone rings directly, and she recognizes the number immediately. It is Charles himself, calling her personal line without warning. His voice sounds smooth, calm, and terribly polite on the surface. A ship with a broken rudder should not keep steering, he says slowly. Step aside, Kendra. Keep what little dignity you have left. He speaks like he is doing her a kind favor. She hangs up, without saying one single word back to him. Her hand shakes, as she sets the phone down carefully. The whole penthouse feels colder than it did just 5 minutes ago. Kendra sits alone in that big, quiet room for a long while. Her hands grip the wheels of her chair, so hard they ache. Her knuckles turn pale white under the pressure of her own grip. She stares down at her legs, still and useless beneath her tailored pants. A dark thought creeps into her mind slowly, like fog over water. Maybe Charles is right about her after all. Maybe the business world really has turned its back on a disabled woman of color. Maybe every door she once forced open is now quietly closing again. Maybe fighting back is simply not worth the pain anymore. At 2:47 p.m., she opens a blank document on her laptop screen. She begins typing a resignation letter, word by careful, painful word. Her finger hovers right over the send button for a long, silent moment. She cannot make herself press it down. Something small and stubborn inside her chest refuses to let go completely. She saves the letter as a draft instead of sending it out. If I quit now, she says out loud to the empty room, every wall I ever broke will rise again for people just like me. Her own voice startles her a little in the silence. Something inside her still refuses to give up. Tonight is also her birthday, though nobody at the office seems to remember it. Her assistant booked the Sky Garden ballroom weeks ago for a small party. Now, thanks to Charles, almost every invited guest has quietly canceled. One by one, texts arrived all afternoon, with polite, fake excuses. A flight got delayed. A child got sick. A meeting ran long. Nobody said the real reason out loud, but she understood it perfectly. By 7:30 p.m., Kendra rolls into the private elevator completely alone. The ballroom sits 60 floors above the wet, glowing city streets below. Rain taps softly against the tall glass windows all around the room. 200 crystal glasses shine under soft golden lights above white tablecloths. Not one single guest walks through those tall glass doors tonight. The room stays silent except for rain hitting glass outside. At 8:43 p.m., Kendra sits completely alone in her wheelchair near the window. She stares out at the wet, glowing city lights spread below her. Her birthday cake sits untouched on a nearby table, 3 candles unlit. The silence in that grand room feels heavy and cold against her skin. It presses down on her chest like a stone dropped from a great height. She wonders if she really is invisible now to everyone she once helped. She thinks about every scholarship she funded for young engineers of color. She thinks about every factory job she brought back to struggling towns. None of that seems to matter tonight, sitting alone under crystal glasses. Then, soft footsteps echo near the side service door of the ballroom. A man in a faded blue work uniform steps quietly into the room. His name badge reads Liam Miller, building maintenance technician. Beside him walks a small boy, maybe 8 years old, in a knitted jacket. The sleeves are worn thin and fuzzy at the cuffs. He holds a small wooden box tightly against his narrow chest. Liam looks embarrassed to be standing in such a fancy room uninvited. "Sorry, ma'am," he says quietly, holding his cap in one hand. "We just came to check the sound system wiring behind the stage." His son, Leo, tugs gently at his father's sleeve instead of staying quiet like told. The boy stares at the wheelchair, then at the untouched cake, then back at Kendra's tired face. Something in his small mind seems to click into place. Leo steps closer to the wheelchair, with careful, small steps across the marble floor. He opens his small wooden box, with gentle, practiced hands. Inside sits a tiny handmade sailboat, carved from rough, pale wood. "My dad made this, with me," Leo says softly, holding it out toward her. He says a sailboat only gets strong when storms hit it hard. Kendra stares at the small wooden boat for a long, silent moment. Her chest rises, with a slow, deep breath she did not expect to take. Color returns to her face for the first time all evening. She reaches out, with careful fingers, and gently takes the small wooden boat. Liam explains that he works 2 long shifts most days of the week. He starts at 6 in the morning and ends near 10 at night. His wife left 3 years ago, and he raised Leo alone since then. He tells her about the nights he sat by Leo's hospital bed. The machines beeped steadily while he held his son's small hand. He learned then that love does not care about money or titles. He built the little wooden boat over 3 weekends in his garage. Leo sanded the edges himself, even though his small hands got tired. They picked out the color of the little cloth sail together at a craft store. "I wanted him to learn that you can make something good from very little," Liam says quietly. Kendra listens closely, forgetting for a moment about the boardroom waiting for her tomorrow morning. His son has asthma, and the medical bills never seem to stop arriving. He picks up extra maintenance shifts on weekends just to keep up. He is tired in a way that never fully goes away. "I can't buy anyone anything fancy," Liam admits, with a small, tired smile. "But I know what it feels like to be looked over by people." His honesty lands harder than any fancy gift ever could. Kendra looks at this stranger and his brave little boy standing before her. Something inside her chest loosens for the first time in many long months. She had almost given away her whole company just 1 hour ago. She had almost let one cruel man decide her whole story for her. Now, holding a small wooden boat, that feels impossible to accept anymore. Something small has shifted, quietly, in the middle of her chest. At 9:17 p.m., Kendra opens her laptop one more careful time. She deletes the unsent resignation letter, without a single moment of hesitation. Her decision feels lighter than anything she has done in months. She invites Liam and Leo to stay for cake together with her. They sit near the technical corner of the ballroom instead of the empty head table. It feels warmer there than anywhere else in the whole building. They talk about small things, like Leo's favorite cartoon and his love of boats. Kendra laughs for the first time in what feels like weeks. It sounds rusty at first, then easier the more it happens. A young intern named Sarah hides quietly behind a nearby velvet curtain. She works in the building's communications department during the day shift. Something about this small, quiet moment makes her chest tighten with feeling. Sarah lifts her phone slowly and starts recording, without asking permission first. She does not plan to post it anywhere at all. She just wants to remember this strange, gentle night for herself. None of them know, yet how far this small moment will travel by morning. None of them know a storm is already building outside these tall glass walls. Tonight is only the beginning of something much bigger than a birthday. At exactly 10:03 p.m., every light in the ballroom suddenly goes dark. Charles Atherton, watching from a security office nearby, gave the order himself. He calls it emergency maintenance, though nothing is actually broken tonight. Liam does not panic like everyone else scattered around the darkroom. He worked 7 years as a licensed electrician before taking this job. He finds the backup power panel tucked behind a narrow service door. In just 8 minutes, he rewires a small backup generator by hand alone. Warm light flickers back on across half of the ballroom floor. It is not perfect, but it is more than enough to see by. Kitchen staff and servers hear the commotion echoing from downstairs immediately. Instead of clocking out and going home, they grab small warming candles from the kitchen shelves. One by one, they carry them upstairs into the ballroom. They place the candles gently in a wide circle around Kendra's wheelchair. The warm light glows softer than the harsh ceiling lamps ever did before. Nobody asked them to do this. They simply chose to. A cook named Rosa brings up a tray of leftover pastries from the kitchen. A server named Devin finds an old speaker and plays soft music from his phone. Slowly, the empty ballroom fills with quiet, unplanned warmth. Rosa has worked in that kitchen for 19 years without ever meeting the CEO. She always assumed someone that important would never notice people like her. Tonight, for the first time, she feels seen instead of invisible. Devin lost his own father 2 years ago to a long illness. He watches Liam and Leo together and feels something tighten in his throat. He turns the music up just a little louder to hide it. None of these small workers get paid extra for staying late tonight. None of them get asked to bring candles or pastries or music. They simply choose kindness over their own tired, aching feet. They can cut the power to this whole building, Kendra says quietly to the small crowd. But they cannot put out the light we just lit together. Her voice does not shake anymore. It sounds steady and sure. Sarah, still recording from her hidden spot behind the curtain, feels her eyes sting. She posts the video later, that night with one simple hashtag attached. She calls it Sail with Kendra after the little wooden boat. By 11:15 p.m., the video sits quietly on the internet, barely noticed. Nobody expects much from it at first. It is just a small, warm moment from one strange night in Seattle. By 2:30 a.m., that video has already reached over 4 million views. People across the country start sharing it with their own friends and family. Comments fill up faster than anyone can even read them. By 5 a.m., the number jumps past 10 million total views nationwide. Angry comments flood in about how Aura's board treats their own CEO. The internet, it turns out, does not like cruelty very much. A famous late-night host mentions the video during his morning radio segment. A disability rights group shares the clip with its 400,000 followers. Local news vans start parking outside the Aura building before sunrise. Strangers from other cities post their own stories of being overlooked at work. A nurse in Ohio writes about being doubted after her own diagnosis. A veteran in Texas writes about being passed over after losing his leg overseas. The hashtag sale with Kendra starts trending nationally before most offices even open. People do not just watch the video once and move on. They share it with a parent, a coworker, a total stranger online. Charles wakes up to his phone buzzing nonstop on the nightstand beside him. His face goes pale as he scrolls through the growing outrage online. His plan is slipping through his fingers already before sunrise even arrives. He does not sit still for long, though, once the shock fades. By 6 a.m., he leaks a fake medical report to financial news outlets across the city. It claims Kendra suffered serious brain damage after last year's accident. Aura's stock price drops 4.2% within minutes of that leak. Traders panic before the market even fully opens for the day. Charles smiles coldly, thinking his plan is finally working again for him. Kendra sees the fake report while getting dressed for the boardroom that morning. Her jaw tightens, and a vein pulses once, hard, at her temple. She does not shout or cry. She simply starts making calls of her own. She calls her personal doctor, then her lawyer, then a trusted board ally. Each call is short, calm, and completely clear about what she needs. Charles thinks he can bend medical truth with his money, she tells her lawyer. He forgot how powerful real public trust can be. Her voice stays low, steady, and completely certain the entire time. She has faced boardrooms before. She has faced worse odds than this one, years ago, with far less power behind her. At 8 a.m. sharp, the boardroom on the 42nd floor slowly fills up. It smells like old mahogany wood, an expensive, cold silence. 11 major shareholders sit around the long table, watching quietly as people file in. Charles sits at the head of the table like a king on a throne. He arranged for Kendra's assistant to be bribed into arriving late on purpose. He wants her walking into this room completely alone and unprepared. Kendra rolls herself into the boardroom without any help at all today. Every eye in the room turns to watch her arrive alone. She keeps her chin up and her shoulders steady the entire way in. Charles slides the fake medical report across the polished table toward her seat. Beside it sits a resignation letter and an expensive gold pen. He does not even try to hide his cruel little smile. Sign it, Kendra, he says, loud enough for the whole room to hear. Someone who cannot even stand on her own has no seat here. His words hang in the air like poison gas released slowly. Her knuckles turn white as she grips the arms of her wheelchair tightly. A vein pulses hard at her temple, but her eyes never once blink. She stares straight at Charles, without looking away for even a second. The room stays completely silent, waiting to see what she will do next. Someone's coffee cup clinks softly against a saucer somewhere down the table. Even that small sound feels loud in the heavy quiet. One older shareholder, named Mr. Whitfield, shifts uncomfortably in his leather chair. He has known Kendra since her very first pitch meeting 9 years ago. He remembers how she walked in then, with nothing but a slide deck and nerve. He glances at Charles, then back at Kendra, his face unreadable. He has stayed neutral in board fights before, always choosing the safer side. Something about this particular morning makes staying neutral feel impossible. She does not sign anything at all, not even a single letter. Instead, she connects her tablet to the big screen at the front. At 8:27 a.m., 2 documents appear for everyone in the room to see clearly. The first document is a full medical evaluation from 3 independent neurologists in Seattle. It confirms her mind and body are both completely fit to lead the company. It was signed and dated only yesterday afternoon, fresh and undeniable. The second document shows Aura's stock price moving in real time on the screen. Thanks to the viral video and the wave of public support, shares just jumped 8.7% overnight. The number keeps climbing steadily as everyone in the room watches. Phones buzz across the long table as shareholders check their own messages nervously. Customers are threatening to boycott the company if Kendra gets pushed out by force. The room grows tense with a very different kind of fear now. This company's strength was never in my legs, Kendra says clearly and firmly. It lives in the trust of millions of people out there. Her voice does not waver even one single time during the whole speech. Charles's face turns bright red as his careful plan falls apart in front of everyone. The muscles in his jaw twitch again and again without stopping for a moment. His chair full of power is slipping out of his grip completely now. He shouts that the birthday video was a paid, staged publicity stunt from the start. He claims it was funded secretly using the company's own hidden accounts. Nobody in the room seems to believe him anymore, though, judging by their faces. Desperate now, Charles threatens to have Liam arrested for criminal trespassing overnight. He plans to blame him for breaking the ballroom's electrical system last night entirely. He wants to turn a good, honest man into a scapegoat for his own crime. He orders building security to march upstairs and grab Liam immediately, right now. Liam is currently waiting quietly just outside the closed boardroom doors. You think a janitor and his kid can save you? Charles yells, spit flying. I'll throw all of you in jail before lunch. At 9:02 a.m. sharp, the tall boardroom door swings open wide and slow. Liam walks in calmly, showing no fear on his tired face at all. Right behind him walks a Seattle City police inspector in full uniform. Liam holds up a printed report from the building's own security system logs. It is the very system Charles proudly approved installing just last year. The report shows exactly what happened the night before in full digital detail. To cut power at the ballroom, Charles had to log in personally, using his own credentials. He approved a fake emergency maintenance order using his own private account late last night. The system automatically recorded his home computer's exact IP address, timestamped and permanent. Every trick, every lie, every act of quiet sabotage now sits in plain black and white text. Charles tried to destroy company property and remove a legal, elected CEO. Now that same proof sits right in front of a real police officer. Charles's face turns pale as paper in a single sudden instant. He slumps back hard into his expensive mahogany chair, his gold pen rolling off the table. Nobody in the room says a single word for a long, heavy moment. The very security system you approved, Kendra says softly, almost gently, recorded every single one of your crimes, Charles. Her voice does not carry anger anymore, not even a trace. It only carries quiet, calm, total certainty. The board calls for an emergency vote right there on the spot, immediately. 11 votes go against Charles, with only his own single vote for himself. His seat, his power, and his whole career vanish within one single minute. The police inspector steps forward and speaks with Charles in a low, firm voice. Charles tries to argue, his voice cracking halfway through each sentence he manages. Nobody in the room moves to help him or defend him at all. Mr. Whitfield finally speaks up, his voice steady and clear. "I have watched this company grow for 9 years," he says. "I choose to stand with the person who actually built it." Other shareholders nod slowly, one after another, around the long table. The silence that follows feels different now, less heavy, almost like relief. Charles looks around the room and finds no allies left anywhere. At 9:13 a.m., police officers walk Charles out of the building, through the main lobby. Hundreds of employees and a few reporters watch him go in complete silence. Nobody claps. Nobody cheers. They just watch quietly as he disappears through the doors. Some employees remember years of small cruelties from Charles finally being answered. Others simply feel relief that the tension of the last few months has ended. The whole building seems to exhale one long, collective breath together. Kendra rolls out to the front steps of the building a little while later. Sunlight breaks through the gray clouds after last night's heavy Seattle rain. She looks out at the small crowd gathered near the entrance doors. She announces a brand new fund right there on the steps, in front of everyone. It will be called the Aura Hope Fund for People with Disabilities. She commits $15.7 million of her own personal company shares to start it. The fund will also support working families struggling with medical bills and long hours. She thinks of Liam immediately, standing quietly near the back of the small crowd. He deserves far more than a simple thank you for what he did. She calls him forward, in front of everyone watching, from the steps. Liam officially accepts the role of Chief Operating Officer for the brand new fund. His hands shake a little as he takes the folder from her outstretched hand. He will help run programs for working parents just like himself across the city. Leo stands beside his father, holding his own small hand tightly against his side. He does not fully understand everything happening around him, but he smiles anyway, bright and easy. A local reporter asks Kendra one simple question before she rolls back inside. "What do you want people to remember about last night?" She asks. Kendra pauses for a moment before answering. "I want them to remember that kindness does not need money," she says. "It only needs a person willing to show up." The reporter writes the quote down carefully in her small notebook. News trucks stay parked outside the building for most of the afternoon. Other companies start posting their own stories about overlooked employees online. A small wave of copycat kindness spreads across offices in other cities that same week. Charles Atherton's name disappears from every board he once sat on. His old business partners stop returning his calls within a matter of days. The old money network that once protected him quietly closes its doors instead. Some people whisper that he moves out of Seattle entirely by autumn. Others say he writes letters of apology that nobody ever bothers to open. Either way, his name fades from the city's business pages within a season. Weeks later, something quiet and simple happens inside the Aura Clean Energy lobby. Leo's small wooden sailboat sits inside a glass display case now, lit softly from above. It rests right in the center of the busy entrance hall. Employees walking in each morning slow down for just one moment near the case. Visitors and clients do the same thing, without anyone telling them to stop. They look at the little rough boat with real, quiet respect. It is not fancy. It is not expensive. It came from a tired father and his brave son with almost nothing to give. Yet it now sits at the heart of a billion-dollar clean energy company. It reminds everyone who walks past it of one simple, true thing. Kindness, given freely, can outlast almost any storm a person faces. Liam settles into his new office down the hall from Kendra's, still a little nervous most mornings. Leo visits after school sometimes, doing homework quietly at a small desk in the corner. The staff there has grown fond of the boy's quiet questions. He still wears simple, plain clothes to work most days, out of habit. Nobody in the office ever mentions it or treats him differently for it. His worth was never measured by the label on his shirt anyway. Rosa and Devin still work in the kitchen downstairs, though a small plaque now hangs there. It reads simply, "Kindness needs no invitation." Neither of them expected recognition, but both feel proud walking past it each shift. Sarah sometimes visits the display case on her lunch break, just to look at it. She remembers standing behind that curtain, unsure if recording was even the right thing to do. She is glad, now, that she trusted her own instinct that night. The Aura Hope Fund grows faster than anyone expected in its first few months. It helps cover medical bills for 312 working families by winter. Kendra reviews every single application herself, refusing to let a computer decide alone. One of the first families helped is a single mother working nights at a warehouse. Her daughter needed surgery the family could never have afforded alone. She sends Kendra a handwritten thank you card every single year since. Another family includes a retired veteran raising his 2 grandchildren by himself. The fund covers his heating bills through a particularly harsh winter storm. He later volunteers at fund events, helping other families fill out their own applications. Word about the fund spreads slowly through churches, schools, and small community centers. People do not apply because of advertising or flashy campaigns online. They apply because someone they trust told them it was real and honest. Sarah, the young intern, gets promoted to a full communications role by spring. Her manager tells her the honest video changed how people saw the whole company. She keeps a printed photo of that dark, candlelit ballroom on her desk. On the 1-year anniversary of that quiet night, Kendra holds a small gathering in the ballroom. She invites Liam, Leo, Rosa, Devin, Sarah, and every family the fund has helped so far. No cameras this time. No reporters. Just people who matter. Leo, now 9, brings a second small boat he carved almost entirely by himself. He places it beside the first one in the glass case, right next to it. "Every ship needs a partner for the next storm," he says proudly. The room fills, with real laughter this time, warm and unplanned. Nobody worries about empty chairs or canceled guests anymore. The Sky Garden ballroom, once so cold and silent, finally feels like it belongs to someone. Kendra often rolls past that glass display case on her way to meetings now. She always slows down for just a second or two every single time. She remembers that empty ballroom and how close she came to giving up completely. She remembers the sound of rain on glass at exactly 8:43 p.m. that night. She remembers a small boy holding out a handmade wooden boat with steady hands. She remembers that sometimes the smallest gift changes everything that follows after it. A sailboat is never afraid of a storm, she says quietly to herself sometimes, standing near the window, because it knows the sky over Seattle always turns blue again. And every single morning now, she believes those words a little more.